Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be giving you my guide to how to complete the hardest difficulty of Murney, which is Nightmare difficulty for the Babylon project. And then afterwards I'm going to be showing you how to hopefully be able to get through the Last Stand Stage 5. Now, the importance of doing these two tricky tasks inside World of Tanks is that you can significantly reduce the amount of decryption keys that you have to spend on being able to unlock the Nergal, of which I released a tank review of it yesterday. It's a pretty good tank. I'd say it's going to be achievable for most players in about 10 to 20 hours, but and the very good players will probably be able to get it more in like 6 hours, I'd say. But only if you're able to complete it on Nightmare and also the Last Stand up to Stage 5, because otherwise you're going to be spending like 160 extra keys, which is definitely going to take you about 2 to 3 hours of your life. So by completing Nightmare and completing the Last Stand, you're probably saving yourself like 5 hours or 6 hours of just grinding keys, or even possibly more. So firstly, the most important thing to do with Nightmare is to create a good team. Find some players who are hopefully, you know, decent enough or experienced, or more importantly, willing to work together. Working together to creating a plan and practicing together is by far the most important thing to do. I have a dedicated Discord section, well, a section on my Discord server where I've set up rooms so that you can be able to go and find people, to create groups, then join a chat room which is limited to 5 people so that hopefully you don't have anyone jumping in and trolling you mid-game. And hopefully that will help, like last year, with people to come together, find friends, or just to be able to have a better chance of being able to get through it. Next, what I recommend is that you have only one person in your group marking the map. For my group here, I've got that task myself. Another thing, don't just drive into a whole load of corrupted there. As you see, I had to use about 1 million different heals to be able to survive that. But yeah, one person who knows who's going to spend more time just looking at the map, trying to find where the Immortal is and trying to plot the route for the team. So you can use the Immortal tracker here to be able to figure out where the Immortal is. When you drive towards it, the bar grows bigger. When you drive away from it, the bar goes smaller. And so the player who's leading the team should be able to quickly figure out where the Immortal is and then try and target a base away from the Immortal so that you're kiting the Immortal while farming up the groups. Another thing that I'd recommend is that don't, like Billy Drunkenstein there, just drive right through a group and to spawn everything there. That could get very awkward indeed. I was going to mark the minimap by right-clicking, holding control and right-clicking to say that we should just bypass this group and drive straight into the Magnus. Another thing to mention is that the Miriam doesn't have to be deposited like last year. Last year, you would have to deposit the Miriam individually into the Magnus and fill the bar up to be able to progress to the next phase. However, this year, the Magnus becomes unlocked once you've managed to destroy enough vehicles. Vehicles are usually about, I think, between about 10 and 50 points. I think you get 50 points for killing an E50M Alpha, I think, in the final stage. And also, you can go between 80 to 50 meters within a camp before it will spawn a set of ads. So one of the most important things to do is to collect the Miriam. You'll see the counter at the top of your screen to be able to activate the Magnus countdown. And then if you all just gather about 100 to 120 meters outside, wait till you're all there and all just rush in. You don't even have to do the last camp. Or alternatively, you can get like the last maybe 50 possibly Miriam from just doing the last camp and cleaning it out and then everyone driving in. I feel like it's easier to be able to just try and get all of the Miriam outside of that. Okay, so now I want to talk about group composition. Firstly, I find it quite hard to do this when I've got like 120, sometimes 130 ping on the NA server. Group composition. Oh, I've got to collect all this. I've got to just try and jet it through. I'm going to lose a little bit of Miriam for going in there, but it's worth it. Not if I do a handbrake turn, but I'm going to just pretend like it was to dodge the HE shells, right? Okay. Group composition. Now, we have taken 4 Cerberuses and 1 Hornet. Now, the Hornet's job is to shoot the hedgehogs. The Cerberuses can get a good rate of fire. They're much better than doubles, for example, for finishing off the hedgehogs. But I would recommend taking 1 Hornet. I wouldn't really recommend 2 Hornets. That's your choice. Sometimes it's quite nice if the group leader is also playing the Hornet as well, so they can be more mindful of looking at the minimap and seeing where the hedgehogs are going to come in. And that will help you to your group to not get ambushed by the hedgehogs. However, I'm not going to lie, I'm playing with very good players, and it took us, I think it was like 5 goes on Nightmare to be able to get it done. I think that maybe the double is the better vehicle. So I think a really good composition might be 1 Hornet and then 4 doubles. I think that might be a stronger composition than what we are using. But again, you could probably do it with all manner of vehicles. You could probably do it with 5 Grenadiers if you're really good players, and so on and so forth. So don't think that you have to take a cookie cutter setup. But if your goal is just to try and get this done efficiently, I would probably recommend taking 4 doubles and 1 Hornet. And the doubles will just rush in and ram things with their speed boosts. And that will allow you to clean up the camps very quickly indeed. So with regards to how to handle the camps, as I've said, you spawn the camps between about 50 to 80 meters. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, some of the camps didn't actually spawn until we got 50 meters within, and you can see exactly how far you are from a camp. So one of the worst things that you could do for your team is to spawn a camp that wasn't meant to be spawned. So don't screw your group leader over by spawning camps. And if you, for example, let's say I wanted to get to the Magnus here, I would just go through here and go between the camps, and then I wouldn't be able to spawn it. Oh, alpha hedgehogs, you can see I know what my job is. So I'm going to turn around, let my Cerberuses handle the rabbits, and I'm going to turn around instead to deal with the alpha hedgehog. And here's a little bit of a tip. It's actually quite nice to play the Hornet for getting the hedgehogs, because you get a tremendous amount of Miriam, and you get a tremendous amount of Miriam to also spend on abilities as well. So I'm not going to go collect all of that tasty juice, although really I probably might want to have collected the ammo, because the ammo is just fabulous. You have regular rounds, which are APCR in this tank, and then you have HE rounds. The HE rounds change your alpha from 240 to 400, but your penetration does drop from 205 to 150. But if you get the side of your opponents, you can literally make the difference. But more on that on the boss encounter later on. So again, we're not going to really just do much here. We're just, see the Cerberus is also pretty proficient at ramming. I'm just going to drive in and enter the next phase. So please make sure that your group all know about these mechanics. Link them this video if they don't, before you all do it together. And then hopefully everybody will be up on speed. Because one of the worst things that could happen is if one person decides they're just not going to go in. So with regards to ability setups, for the Hornet, I really like the individual heal, the AoE heal for your group, and also the magazine reload. Now, when you're playing on Nightmare difficulty, you start with so much less Miriam that I thoroughly wouldn't recommend to use the damage ability very often. You want to have the heals for those emergency situations. If one vehicle dies early, there can be huge issues. Now, with regards to heal efficiency, the cheaper heal, the individual heal, removes fires, stuns, repairs damaged modules. It's 25 and it heals for about 500. However, the AoE heal is twice as expensive, but it will be able to heal all of your allies. I'm not sure if it repairs their modules or their engines, not 100% certain about that, but it is most efficient to use the AoE heal only if 2 vehicles or more are damaged. 2 minimum, 3 optimal, 4 or 5, well, you're like, that's how you really manage to get through this. I would say that if you want to take this game mode seriously, that everybody should have the single heal and everybody should have the AoE heal. Now, you want to have the single heal because, for example, if you get your gun breaks or you get set on fire in an awkward situation, not only will it fix that and extinguish everything, it will also be able to heal yourself as well. And it's cheaper as well from like an emergency single heal perspective. The AoE is actually very inefficient for the AoE heal is very inefficient if you were to just use it from like a single perspective. And I don't think you really need any other abilities. With regards to what you would take on the Cerberus or the double, that's going to be down to you after you take the single heal and you take the AoE heal. You could end up taking one of the damage abilities. For the Cerberus, the rate of fire can be very nice for tense situations. For the double, you know, reloading just your 2 shots and then being able to go again can also be very nice. So pathing, here's some pathing tips for you're the leader of your group, speaking to all of your leaders out there. Again, find where the nightmare is, or not the nightmare, sorry, the immortal is, and then just make sure that you're always driving away from it and taking your group away from the mortal. But also, do take into account that the timing is actually quite tricky. Not so tricky, I guess, if you've got kind of like 4 doubles and they'll just drive it and they ram everything. But the timing can be quite tricky if you don't get hedgehogs. So, funny enough, the rabbits and the hedgehogs really make the final phase a lot easier. So pray for the final phase that you get rabbits or hedgehogs. Otherwise, it can actually be quite stressful to be able to get everything in time. And the leader should also be saying, you know, we slow, hurry. You can't really get more than about 100 Miriam per minute, and so that's why I was a little bit worried about this. But look how many points we're going to get from that Alpha E50M. I have to dump my whole mag in. I wonder if I'm going to go for a quick reload here. I probably should have gone for a quick reload, but I decided to actually heal my friends instead. We actually managed to get, I think it was like 50 there, and now I'm loading HE shells. And these HE shells, I like to save them usually for the final boss, but considering that hard stuck iron player on my team actually managed to get themselves killed, we don't have much time. You can see I'm basically a group healer here. I barely spend my resources on doing extra damage. I'm always trying to think about just healing up my group. Going in with a plan, just telling my team 2 kills, then in. That's all we need. 2 kills, and then we go in. And you can see how many points you need either on the actual Magnus itself or at the top of your screen. So come up with a plan, communicate it. Hedgehogs are coming in from behind. I guess we're just going to go straight for the kills here on the pattern. I missed one of my shots with a little trash scrub, but luckily we managed to hopefully go in, or just before Not Dewey lost his hit points. And if you die, then you spawn in the next phase on half health and without any of the Miriams. That's really painful. So Hardstuck is going to have to do an individual heal. Now, if 2 people die or 3 people die, 1 person should be designated to do an AoE heal. If only 1 person dies, then that person should just do a single heal. Okay, so the boss is the Sturmbringer. I guess that means Stormbringer, right? And he's got weak points. You should all know that, I guess, if you've done the normal and the hard mode. This is a guide for Nightmare, after all. So he does AoE damage that is absolutely brutal. So the Hornet, I would honestly recommend the Hornet doesn't even shoot in this stage. Let your Cerberuses, let your doubles, let the other players focus on that, and try to avoid those shells, because hard-stuck iron player is losing all of their hit points. And if you do that, then you don't have any of the heals. Okay, so your job when you're playing the Hornet is to make sure that you can get the hedgehogs down. But I decided I've got to get rid of that Cerberus as well. I've still got 2 shells left. I'm looking for the hedgehogs. Am I going to fire them into the Cerberus and then just do a reload? I might do. And unfortunately, the hedgehogs are on the other flank. That means that hard-stuck iron player just gets hit by the hedgehogs. And while I played perfectly before, my gun breaks, and so I can't shoot the hedgehogs. How unfortunate. I've got 24 Miriam, so I can't actually manage to do the solo heal. So I failed my job. Why am I choking on this boss encounter so hard? Awful play by me to not have that solo heal. Luckily, I do dodge that, because otherwise that'll be 600 hit points that I would lose, and I probably would find it very hard to be able to recover. So again, just try and make sure you kill all of the ads before you push the boss. The way that the waves of ads spawn is when the boss reaches a certain amount of hit points, then ads spawn. One of the worst things that you can do when ads spawn is to keep nuking the boss, because in theory you could end up with 2 sets of ads, and that will lead to a wipe usually. So in this situation, the Trapper is important to be able to get rid of, because they're creating these AoEs around you. But again, my job is to deal with these hedgehogs, and I failed my job once again. Why am I sucking so hard? And now I'm getting rammed by the Sturmbringer. I am completely whiffing this fight. I played flawlessly right up until it mattered, and I'm definitely choking and tilting out very hard right now. But luckily, as you're going to see, with a few emergency heals there, and hopefully we can get rid of the Cerberus and our team just literally face tanking the hedgehog and being good players. If we manage to wipe out the ads, which we have done, as long as me and Not Dewey be able to bring down this Sturmbringer, we will actually manage to get our team to respawn. So time-wise, I think you had about 9 minutes to be able to get this done, or was it 6 minutes? Something like that. Usually you need about 3 minutes at least to be able to do the final phase. And here we can see the HE rounds. If you manage to pen them, they're very good. I penetrated all 5 shells there, doing 2,000 damage to the Stonebringer. Finally, I didn't suck. And so that means that Not Dewey manages to get them down. Okay, so what we should do is kind of gather up, and everybody should do an individual heal. Sorry, an AoE heal there. And as you can see, wow, everybody topped up. Perfect. And I kind of make a bit of a misplay here, and I lose 600 hit points. Complete disaster. Now, when phase 2 starts, where the Stonebringer respawns, be very careful, because the Cerberuses do huge amounts of damage. And it looks like Hardstuck Iron Player didn't really think about that, and he got farmed very hard at the start of this. And so now we've got to try and do this entire fight with only 4 players. So a little bit rough indeed. And I screwed up the first phase, but we managed to get through. Hardstuck Iron Player has massively screwed our chance. And so what I'm going to call out now is I'm going to start to say push. Push as in push the boss's health. Push the boss's health and then deal with the ads. And here's the thing. If bad things have happened and you don't have a full team alive, there's an argument that once you push the boss to about half health, that you might want to... I got hit again like a complete noob. I'm playing really badly in this round. But there's an argument that if you push the boss... where are those hedgehogs? Got to do my job. Get these hedgehogs out for the team. Come on, hedgehogs. I've got to get rid of you. And unfortunately, the Cerberuses are just chomping me down. I failed. This was a really bad boss fight for me, and I deserve to lose. But as I was saying, there's an argument that once you clear this set of ads, that after you've got rid of the corrupted here, that you should consider just pushing the boss all the way and not going for the ads. So we've got 2 out of 5 people down. The boss still has 6,000 hit points. There's only 2 minutes left on this game. But luckily, with some good heals from these Cerberuses, they're healing themselves very intelligently here. And also the abilities that you get definitely can help. We've got 1 regen. We've got 2 fire opportunities as well. And you're going to see that with some great play by Billy Drunkenstein, Shackler, and Not Dewey, that they're actually going to try and do this with only 3 people in the final phase. So in this kind of a situation, I'll be fully transparent. I was on my desktop. I was raging at myself at how badly I played and how I was letting the team down. But now here's an interesting call. See, in my situation, they should just push the boss. Just focus the boss down. I think they should ignore the ads. I think they should just focus the boss. But actually, my team is going to try and focus the ads. So you know what? Don't split your team, or maybe do split your team. I guess what's happening right now is Shackler's just distracting all of the hedgehogs, and he's allowing Not Dewey to be able to push the boss. And now Drunkenstein's on it as well. And I think that if you've only got a couple of tanks left, you should push the boss in this situation. 53 hit points, sets him on fire, finishes him off. So there's 2 ways of doing the final phase of the boss. One is, if you've got everyone alive and no one's failed, like me, I failed. And if no one's failed, like Hardstuck Iron Player, then what I would recommend is focus the boss, then do the ads. Focus the boss, then do the ads. And you will have more than enough time afterwards to be able to finish off the Stonebringer. However, if 1 person has died or 2 people have died, I think you should take your chances. And after you get the boss to a 3rd health, ignore the ads, just focus the boss and try and push those last 3,000 hit points and be an absolute hero like Not Dewey and Billy Drunkenstein and Shackler were here to be able to finish this round off. And with enough tries and enough teamwork and everybody improving the way they play and less people making mistakes like I did on this boss fight, then you'll get the Stonebringer down, you'll get the completion, and then you'll make it so much easier for you to be able to get the Nergal. Okay, so the other thing that you're going to have to do if you want to be able to get the Nergal cheaply is to be playing Last Stand. So in Last Stand, you will have to fight progressively more and more tricky waves of enemies to... did somebody just use the heal at the start of the battle there? Was that me? I don't know, maybe I fat-fingered my keyboard. So you'll have to fight progressively more and more tricky waves of enemies. Now, setup-wise, DPM is king for this game mode. You want to have DPM. Don't waste your time with low DPM tanks. This is just a pure bot farm. You just want to try and deal with the waves as quickly as possible. And the faster that you manage to do it, the better position you're going to get on the leaderboard at the end if you really care about that kind of thing. But most people aren't, and the biggest thing that you should care about is just getting the game mode done so you can be able to get your Nergal cheaply. So grade A tanks for this game mode will be the TVP. The Spatuk, the TVP 100, absolutely god tier. Not only are the AP rounds fabulous with their 270mm of pen, the heat are actually free inside this game mode, so you can fire 330mm of gold against the harder targets later on. And the HE on this tank as well, they can manage to one-shot the rabbits for one of the waves to be able to get you plowing through a little bit faster. And I should really be going over there and focusing the rabbits, but at the end of the day, it's a team game. Another tank that can be good is the Grom. The only problem with the Grom is that it kind of relies on the bots just driving straight towards you, and if the bots don't drive straight towards you and actually come into close quarters combat, then it can be awkward. If you've got a good team who sets up and you're all doing different things and you have your positions and you know how to get the bots to be able to advance towards you, it will work out. But a lot of people might do better with something like a Carnarvon. Carnarvon's a fantastic free-to-play tank. It's the one that I suggested that Dino David played. Inside this, you've got 10 degrees of gun depression, good turret armor, incredible damage per minute. The only thing that's a little lacking is the pen, but, you know, 226 should be able to work, and also you could just fire gold, right? Fire those APCR rounds, why wouldn't you? The APCR rounds will just be better than the AP rounds in pretty much every single regard. So, with regards to what abilities to take, inside this game mode, you can take the AoE heal, but I do feel that... oh, by the way, I should talk about the charger. Don't let those things ram you. They can one-shot ram tanks, so just try and track them and focus them. They overextend. Almost like the EBR of the bots, right? So just focus them down, and unlike the EBR, they're pretty big and easy to hit. So yeah, abilities. I do think that it'll be better. I don't think you really need the group heal for this. And the reason why I don't think you need the group heal for this is because the amount of Miriam that you get is way easier than the Insanity or Nightmare game mode that we were just playing. And so I think that everyone should be able to just get enough Miriam to just do individual heals. And I think that it'll be better to take... Yeah, look at that. Wow, only 300 though, because it was a heavy tank from the front. Not too bad. I think it'd be better for everybody to just pick skills that they think is going to be able to help them. For the TVP, one of the best is the fast reload. For 7 seconds, you just absolutely trash your opponents, and we'll see if I get to use it a couple times by the end of this. I'm not sure if the amount of Miriam that you have resets between the phases. It'll be quite interesting. I'll actually take a look when this tank dies as to whether I keep the 71. So looks like I just got 25 more. So I think maybe you just get 25 Miriam between the phases, or maybe everyone resets to 96. Let me know in the comments down below if you know more about that than me, as to whether you should just pump out all of your Miriam or you should try and keep some of it to transition between the phases. But as I was saying, I think people should just take the individual heal and individually heal them, especially considering that you spread out a lot more than you did do in the other game mode. But you know what, if you want to heal your friends, go for it. For me, I really enjoy the vampire ability. The vampire ability only costs 25 and it does 150 damage in a big AoE, and it heals you as well. So when you're under pressure, and you will be under pressure for the final waves, we're on wave 3 now out of 5, and they start to get hard from here on. 3, 4, and 5 are progressively harder, and yeah, they're a little bit tricky, especially if you don't have people with large DPM tanks. And we've got 3 Spatuks in this game mode, yeah, you know we've got some DPM. So the vampire ability is actually pretty cool, because not only does it do 150 damage, which can help when you're trying to finish off vehicles, to be able to get that 150 heal per tank that you've hit as well, you could literally... Well, you're not usually hitting more than about 2 or 3 targets, but that's still a 300 heal, while also still doing like 300 damage. Uh-oh, I didn't do my job and shoot these hedgehogs. They're going to spawn right near us. Where are they? Oh no, I missed my shot. Oh no. Can I blame my ping? Maybe I just suck. Honestly, I've been streaming for 8 hours at this point, and I think I was just mentally done. I'm not sure if any of you have been trying to play this with randoms yesterday. Maybe you are mentally done. Talk about randoms. It's go time right now. You can see I'm using the rate of fire, and look at this. I mean, wow. That is some bonkers damage per minute. A Spatuk can basically just get rid of a couple of tanks like that. So if you have emergency situations, just go for it. And if you're trying to do speed runs, Ooh, I nearly died there. That would have been embarrassing. I should probably use the vampire ability here. I do, but I still die like a noob. My bad. I should have fired the vampire ability earlier and done an individual heal. It was greedy. And so what I'm going to do now is spawn on half health and only got 25 Miriam. So, yeah, that sucks. And I can't go and collect all of the Miriam in between the phases as well. So, yeah, bad play there by me. But it's not a disaster. It's not a disaster. It definitely puts my team behind. And if we were doing a time attack now to try and do it as quickly as possible, yeah, I kind of screwed the team over significantly from that perspective. But just from a completion perspective, it's not too bad. Okay, so phase 4, things start to get, yeah, more tricky. There are more healthy tanks. There are more tanks with abilities. And you start off with this big old load of M103s. So in this kind of a situation, probably want to be just firing the gold rounds. The reason why I don't fire too much gold inside this game mode is not because it costs more, because it's free. You don't have to pay ammo resupply inside this game mode. I think it's just that the 270 millimeters of AP pen on this tank are actually pretty proficient. And yeah, I'd rather be able to also go through surfaces, like soft things. You see there's so many little cars or little walls in the way that it can be a little bit awkward. So in this situation, I say push, and the reason why I say push is that if you see that a wave is coming from behind, you've got to try and secure one of the flanks. So by pushing out there, what we will do is give ourselves extra time to kite the new wave and be able to stop the opponents from being able to flank us, right? So hopefully Hardstuck Iron Player is going to turn their tank around and actually play. That was a really big misplay by them to not be shooting the enemies and just to be collecting, I guess, resources. But maybe they just wanted to go get the 50 resources to be able to heal. Again, that's a bit of a misplay. The Hardstuck Iron Player didn't heal Dewey in that situation, or at least Dino David in that situation. But luckily, there's only 2 waves here. There's a lot. It's a very intense wave, but there's only 2 of them. So as long as we manage to get rid of all of these vehicles, we should be absolutely fine in this scenario. I should use the vampire ability there. I definitely, it's not perfect play from me. This is kind of like I think my 4th game of Last Stand. But there is quite a lot of opportunities for you to be able to speed up and to be able to change the way that you play, to be able to get through this quicker and quicker and quicker. So, the final wave. This is the wave that matters, right? If you manage to conquer wave 5, then you're going to get a huge discount off the Nergal price tag, effectively. But while this is happening, let me tell you about how to get the Nergal quickly. Okay, so firstly, follow this guide, finish it on Nightmare, and hopefully also, lovely play there by, who was it? Billy Drunkenstein, to give me space as well. I can tell they've played a little bit of World of Warcraft, very considerate, an excellent player there. Nice HE shell into the trapper. I digress. Let me focus on what I was trying to say. So yeah, firstly, finish the boss on Nightmare. Then do 5 phases of Last Stand. And then really the fastest way to grind keys, sadly, is to just grind Last Stand with your friends. Get a big group of players for Last Stand and grind with your friends. That's going to be the best way to do it. And the reason why I say that's sad is because I bet you what's going to happen is a lot of the more hardcore players are going to complete this like on the first couple of days. They're just going to go in with their friends and just farm Last Stand to be able to get all the keys they need. And the very good players should be able to do it in about 6 to 10 hours, tops. And the reason why I say this is sad is because it means that later on in this event, it's going to get harder and harder and harder to be able to find competent players to be able to do the regular game mode, to do Nightmare with. And so, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I would thoroughly recommend investing the time now, finding some friends who actually want to do the Nightmare together, because it's going to get, in my opinion, a lot harder later on in the event to be able to find players. You're going to find more casual players, players who haven't bothered, players who just don't care, players who have spent forever trying to do it because they're not very good and they maybe haven't watched guides or they just don't know mechanics, and you might end up with them in the random queue, and good luck trying to get through the more tricky parts of this Halloween game mode then. So again, if you want to find some players, I'm going to put a link to my Discord server down below. There are rooms for EU, NA, Asia to be able to find like-minded players and to get the more tricky stuff done. And then what I would recommend is if you wanted to just do it really quickly, farm Last Stand. It's so much faster. It's like half the time and you get pretty much the same amount of keys. You might, if you get the bonus keys from playing different tanks for your first completion of the regular Halloween game mode of the day, be able to get a good amount of key progress like that, or maybe you can rush normal, for example. But I think Last Stand with a good group of players who are trying their best with meta tanks, you can be able to do it in 10 minutes or even less. I think the best times I've seen so far have been kind of like 7 minutes or even sub 7 minutes. That's some fast key grind. And honestly, if you just play with a solid group of 5 people and you just farm out the Last Stand, do an hour here, 2 hours here, you'll do it in pretty much in 2 or 3 days if you're able to complete all of the waves. And also the benefit to finishing all of the waves is I think you get 100,000 credits. So you'll actually be making some pretty nice credits at the same time. You'll probably end up making maybe about 500,000 credits in an hour, as well as being able to get all of the loot that comes with the progress. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was my guide to the hardest parts of the Halloween game mode. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and it was useful for you. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below if you've got any tips or tricks for the community that maybe I missed out on. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, later on today, there are going to be new drop tokens to be able for the Halloween store. So you can be able to get closer to getting some of those cool 3D styles for some of the best tanks at tier 9. So come along right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby and get your loot. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.